Welcome to Study Loop.
All right, we are doing problem number 30 from chapter 4. And it's asking us predict how each of the following economic changes will affect the equilibrium price and quantity in the financial market for home loans. Sketch a demand and supply diagram to support your answers. And then it asks a bunch of scenarios. So let's start with scenario A. Scenario A is saying the number of people at the most common ages for home buying increases. So we have our supply, we have our demand. Remember that this is the supply and demand for financial loans, for home loans rather. And the scenario it's asking is if the number of people increases, and if the number of people buying homes increases, well, that means the demand is going to increase. So here's our new equilibrium, and interest rate has gone up, and quantity has gone up. Yeah, okay, so it says equilibrium price and quantity in the question. Price is equal to interest rate. So now let's do part B. Same thing. Price, quantity, supply, demand. Part B is asking people gain confidence that the economy is growing and that their jobs are secure. Again, if people are gaining confidence the economy is growing, their jobs are secure, they're going to buy a house, aren't they? So that's going to increase demand, and we're going to see the same exact shift. Price up, quantity up. On to part C. Part C is asking banks that have made home loans find that a larger number of people than expected are not repaying those loans. And so if banks find that a larger number of people than expected are not repaying those loans, well, they're going to want to issue less loans. So if less loans are issued, supply is going to shift left. It's going to decrease from our first equilibrium to a new equilibrium where price has increased, quantity has decreased. This is a new equilibrium. On to part D. D, because of a threat of war, people become uncertain about their economic future. Well, if people are uncertain, they're sure not going to buy a house. So the demand for loans to buy houses is going to go down, moving us from our first equilibrium to a new equilibrium. It's this equilibrium. Price has fallen, quantity has fallen. Okay. Let's look at part E. The overall level of saving in the economy diminishes. Well, if the overall level of saving in the economy diminishes, what's going to happen to the demand or supply? Well, how is the supply of loans created? Well, it's coming from people's savings, right? Because what banks are doing are taking your savings and lending them out and then paying you a very small interest rate for that because you're giving them your money, basically. So if the overall level of saving is diminishing, the supply is going to go down because there's a smaller amount of money to make loans with. So we're moving to a new equilibrium. Again, price, or rather, supply has decreased, has shifted left. So price is up, quantity down. And finally, we're on to part F. The federal government changes its bank regulations in a way that makes it cheaper and easier for banks to make home loans. So that's pretty obvious then, because the people making the loans are banks, and if it's cheaper and easier for them to make them, well, they're going to make more, aren't they? So supply is going to shift from equilibrium 1 to equilibrium 2. Price is lower at this equilibrium. Quantity is